The purse looked ordinary. That was the first thing Daniel noticed about it. Black leather, slightly worn at the edges, lying beside a rain-soaked bench outside the little grocery store where he had just bought milk for his 8-year-old daughter. But when he picked it up, he had no idea those few seconds would change his life forever. Daniel was a single father who had learned not to expect miracles. 5 years earlier, his wife had died after a sudden illness, leaving him with a little girl, Emma, and a life that had become a constant calculation of rent, groceries, school fees, and overtime hours. He worked as a mechanic at a small neighborhood garage, often staying late to make enough money to keep the lights on. He was tired most days, but he never let Emma see how frightened he sometimes felt. To her, Dad was the man who could fix anything. He was tired most days, but he never let Emma see how frightened he sometimes felt. To her, Dad was the man who could fix anything. He called the number on the identification. No answer. Because it was getting late, he decided to take the purse home and return it the next morning. That night, while Emma painted tiny planets, Daniel kept thinking about the stranger who had lost it. He hoped she was all right. Before we continue, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of one good decision, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to Bright Acts. Your support helps us bring more emotional stories of humanity to you. That evening, Daniel was already late. Emma had a school project waiting at home, and he had promised to help her build a cardboard model of the solar system. He was walking toward his old car when he noticed the purse. He picked it up, looked around, and saw no one nearby. He could have ignored it. He could have taken the cash and left the purse somewhere, telling himself someone else would find it. Instead, he carried it into the store and asked the manager whether anyone had reported losing it. The manager shook his head. Daniel opened the purse only enough to find identification. Inside were several credit cards, a driver's license, some cash, and a folded photograph of an elderly man. There was also a hospital card with a woman's name on it. Daniel stared at the photograph, then closed the purse. Whatever was happening in that woman's life, he knew it mattered. Before going to bed, Daniel checked the purse one more time. He noticed a small envelope tucked behind the photograph. On the front, written in shaky handwriting, were the words, "For Mom." He immediately put it back. Something simply did not belong to him. Daniel had known hunger, loneliness, and fear, but he had also learned that dignity was sometimes all a person had left. He could not afford to lose his own. That was why, even when life seemed unfair, he kept choosing the harder right thing. The next morning, before Daniel could return the purse, a black luxury sedan stopped outside the garage. A woman stepped out. She was the woman from the identification card. She looked elegant, but nothing about her expression suggested calm. Her face was pale, her eyes red from crying, and her hands trembled. She asked whether Daniel had found her purse. When he handed it to her, she grabbed it and checked inside. Her shoulders dropped with relief. Then she opened the small envelope. Daniel expected a simple thank you. Instead, the woman suddenly looked at him with disbelief. She asked whether he had opened the envelope. Daniel said no. For several seconds, she stared at him. Then she told him something that made him realize the purse had never really been about money. The woman's name was Claire. Her mother was in a hospital across town, fighting a serious illness. The envelope contained the last letter Claire's father had written before he died. Claire had been carrying it because she had promised her mother she would read it to her that morning. The purse also contained money needed for her mother's urgent treatment. Then Claire said something Daniel never expected. If he had not returned the purse, she might have lost her mother. But Claire was not finished. She had noticed the garage sign behind him. She asked if he was Daniel Carter, the mechanic who worked there. When he confirmed it, she smiled through tears and said she had been searching for him for months. Daniel thought she had mistaken him for someone else. She explained that her father had once owned a chain of auto repair businesses. Before he died, he created a foundation to help struggling workers and single parents start over. Claire had taken over the foundation after his death. She had recently been looking for honest mechanics to run a new community garage program. Daniel almost laughed. It sounded impossible. For a man who had spent years choosing between bills, groceries, and repairs, the offer felt like something from another life. He told her he was not looking for charity. He only wanted enough work to provide for his daughter. Claire shook her head. She said she was not offering charity. She was offering him a job. Not just any job. She wanted Daniel to become manager of a new neighborhood repair center that would provide affordable car repairs to working families. The salary was nearly double what he was making. The position came with health insurance, paid time off, and an education fund for Emma. Daniel could barely speak. For the first time in years, someone was not looking at him with pity or judging him by what he had lost. But Claire revealed the part that truly changed his life. Her father had written the foundation's guiding principle in his final letter. Never underestimate the person who does the right thing when nobody is watching. Claire said Daniel had unknowingly proven those words. Months later, the new repair center opened in a renovated building on the edge of town. Daniel managed it with the same patience he had shown while returning that lost purse. Emma became a familiar face there, doing homework at a small desk near her father's office. Within months, the center became known as a place where struggling families were treated with dignity. Mechanics who had struggled to find steady work joined the team. Families came in with broken cars and left with something more valuable than a repaired engine: hope. One afternoon, Claire visited the garage and found Daniel helping an elderly man who could not afford his repair bill. Daniel quietly covered the remaining cost himself. Claire watched from the doorway and smiled. That evening, Daniel drove home with Emma beside him. At a red light, she asked whether he remembered the purse. He smiled and told her he did. Emma leaned against the window and said she was proud of him. And sometimes, when you return something that does not belong to you, you receive something far greater in return: not wealth, not success, but a second chance. If this story touched your heart, please like the video, share it with someone who believes in second chances, leave a heartfelt comment, and subscribe to Bright Acts. If you believe kindness can change a life, your support can help this story reach someone who needs that reminder today. Before we end, I want to ask you for something special. Comment, "Kindness always returns," below if you believe doing the right thing still matters. Let those words be a reminder that even the smallest good deed can travel farther than we ever imagine. Daniel never became rich overnight. His life did not become perfect. Bills still arrived. Cars still broke down. Some days were still difficult. But he no longer woke up wondering whether tomorrow would be better. He knew it could be. Because one rainy evening, a lonely father found a lost purse, and instead of taking what was inside, he chose to return it. And that simple choice gave a stranger her mother, gave a little girl a more secure future, gave struggling families a place to turn, and gave Daniel something he had not felt in years: hope.